welcome to your hips and hammies class. Today we're focusing literally on the hips and the hamstrings. And I put these two together because with our hips, there's a lot that's connected into our hips, and our hips are kind of like the connection between the lower half of our body and the upper half of our body. So there's a lot going on here. And when we focus on the hamstrings as well, we can really help out our hips. Just as like if we were to focus on our back or our spine, that's also going to help our hips too. So without bringing too much into the class, I've just kept it to the hips and our hamstrings. So our hips, in today's society, we're sitting a lot, right? Sitting in our car, sitting in our desk, sitting in front of the TV. And so our psoas muscle, or this sort of major muscle at the front of our hip, is constantly contracted or shortened because our legs are up, or our thigh is up, shortening that front muscle of the hips. And this leads to hip tightness, naturally. But also our hips are really quite connected into our nervous system. And they say that the hips, or our psoas, holds emotion as well, and it holds stored stress too. So when we can start to kind of loosen up the hips and open up the hips and work with these muscles, we can really start to work with stress and emotion. And also, like I said, with everything else around. If you've got a sore low back, probably something to do with the hips or the hamstrings. If you've got sore knees, potentially something to do with the hips or the quadriceps, the front of the legs. So we're going to jump straight in. I want you to lay down on your back in constructive rest. So bend through the knees, bring the feet to the floor. And then bring the feet a little wider so that your knees can just relax on each other. Let the arms come out by your sides and shrug the shoulders down a little wriggle out of the head and the neck and the chin, just to find that sweet spot. And I want you to take 3 really slow breaths, a sigh out on the exhale. Really letting go of the day that you've just had. Letting go of any tension in the body. And just letting everything completely melt a little more. And as you continue to breathe slowly and softly, checking in with the temples and the jawline. Are you clenching your teeth? And can you relax the shoulders down a little more? Can you uncurl the fingers? Is the belly soft? Are the knees squeezing together, or are they just resting? And can you feel a sense of holding in the pelvis, or a sense of contraction in the pelvic floor, or the base of your torso? Relaxing all the muscles around your hips, the front, the back, the sides, the bottom and the top, relaxing the core, relaxing all the muscles around the genital area. And this might be an ongoing process. You might notice that every time you relax everything, they unconsciously start to grip on again. So a reminder, every few breaths or so, just to soften, relax. We don't need to be switched on all the time. We don't need to be active in our pelvic floor all the time. It knows what to do. It knows how to keep us steady and hold us upright. Let's take 3 more breaths here. A moment of space and stillness before the movement begins. And from here, just widening the knees a little. And let the knees just fall on over to the right side, gentle twist. And then on over to the left. You might like to do this a few times. You might like to shift the gaze as well, looking over to the left as the knees come over to the right. Looking over to the right as the knees fall over to the left. You're starting to warm up those hip joints. And then coming back to center, preparing for a bridge pose. So the feet are to the floor still and hip width distance apart. Knees, same, hip width distance apart. And from here, starting to lift the tailbone towards the backs of your knees so that tailbone curls under, pubic bone draws towards your nose. So there's this little tuck happening in the pelvis as you peel up away from the floor. Just so the hips come in line with knees and shoulders, nothing too extreme here. And then you'll slowly roll down the spine, vertebra by vertebra, all the way back down, keeping this little tuck in the pelvis. And then we go again, peel and lift away, tailbone reaching towards the back of the knees, pubic bone reaching towards chin as you lift. Pressing down through the feet and then lower back down, breathing as you go. Don't forget to breathe. This time as you bring the hips all the way down, tuck the tailbone the other way so you're curling it underneath you. The pubic bone reaches forwards between the knees. And then we go the other way, tailbone tucks under towards the back of the knees, pubic bone towards belly button or nose as you peel up and away. Nice. And then lower down. And as we get to the bottom again, tuck the tailbone under towards the spine. And then it curls back up towards the back of the knees. Peel away. Nice. And then you'll lower slowly. And then tuck one more time. Beautiful. Coming back to neutral, a little wriggle of the hips, a little windscreen wiper here, knocking the knees side to side. And then from this place, you'll slowly make your way up to a seated position. Feet stay out in front of you. And so you can either rock and roll along your spine, grabbing on behind your thighs, having a little roll. If this doesn't work for you, if it doesn't feel good, no worries. Just roll to your side and make your way up to a seat. Once you come up to your seat, keeping your feet out in front of you, hands come behind you. Shift your stuff out of the way so it doesn't get bowled over. And then bring the feet a little wider, maybe a little wider than hips width if you can. You're resting back onto your hands, not slumped down. Press down through the hands, lift up through the chest. And then allow the knees once again to fall over to the right so that the left knee comes kind of in contact with the sole of the right foot. And then we go the other way. Left knee comes behind the sole or the heel of the left foot. Just go backwards and forwards. You'll probably notice that your hips kind of shift forwards each time and you kind of need to shimmy yourself back a few times. That's fine. That's just what happens. No stress. If this feels good, stay with it. If you want to go a little further, bring your hands up, stay lifted. You can bring your fingertips to point towards each other, shoulders down, chest reaching upwards, and then no hands. Shin box, left knee comes into sole of right foot, and then we go the other way. So a lot of core work as well as using your hips. As you come on over, right knee down, left knee into right heel, press your left hip forwards a little. So you're getting this sort of extension through that hip. And then we go the other way, keeping that chest up as much as possible. Press that right hip forwards as the left hip presses down. All right, one more, both sides. This can feel a little icky in the hips if the hips aren't used to rotating so much. See how you go. You're always welcome to keep the hands back behind you. From here, we're going to come onto our hands and knees. So make your way over. If you have yoga blocks or big books that are quite stable and are the same height, important, they need to be the same height. We don't want you to walk out of here lopsided. Place them under your hands. Knees go under hips. And then from here, we're going to lift through the right leg. Nice straight right leg. Use your right butt cheek to lift that leg. Right toes point down. And if you need padding under your knees, feel free to grab a pillow or fold up a towel and place it under your knee. Draw a belly button towards spine. And then from here, we're going to bend through the right knee, draw that right heel to right butt cheek, keep squeezing. And then draw right knee all the way in and up towards your nose, round up through your spine, creating heaps of space between your chest and your belly and the floor. Curl, 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 keep breathing. And then reach it back out. Neutral spine, belly draws in, right heel lifting up, right butt cheek switching on. And then bend through the knee, squeeze heel to butt. Curl it in and up to nose to chest, round through the spine, spread shoulder blades, and then reach it back. Nice. We're going to do that one more time. Bend knee, curl it in. Curl, 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 curl. Create heaps of space, tuck the chin, and then this time we're going to step right foot forwards. Nice. So now we're in a sort of a half lunge here. And just let yourself shift the hips forwards. Enjoy a bit of a stretch through the front left hip. And then shift back, coming into half Hanuman or Ardha Hanumanasana. You can sort of shimmy that front foot and even come up onto higher blocks to support yourself. I like coming up onto high blocks. So the right knee starts to straighten a little. The right toes peel back towards your face and press down into the floor with that right heel and try and suck the right heel and the right femur up into the right hip joint. So you've got this action happening in the bottom of the leg. Hello, hamstrings. All right, from here, you're going to come back into your lunge and then come back into your half Hanuman. And then forward into lunge, shift the blocks to wherever feels pretty sturdy for you. Back into half Hanuman. Lunge again. This time as you come into your Ardha Hanumanasana, you're going to pause. Once again, pressing down through the right heel, sucking the right femur back into your right hip joint. And breathe. The right knee doesn't have to be straight. It can be a little bent, especially at the beginning of class. You're probably feeling a little tight still. Nice. And then from here, we go back into our lunge. Set up your blocks again. We're going to do the other side. for our tiger curls and leg lifts on hands and knees. Get that right knee back there, and then we start left side. Right knee stays down, hands to blocks or books or just to the floor. Lift through that left leg. Left toes down, left butt cheek on, belly drawing in to activate through that core. And then bend left knee. Squeeze heel to butt. Curl it in. Round through the spine, tailbone tucks under, pubic bone draws towards nose, chin tucks, and then reach it out again. We're going to do 2 more of those at your own pace. Breathe, bend, curl when you're ready. Pressing down through the hands to round up through the spine. We use the blocks just to bring the floor a little closer to us. We can create heaps more space between the chest and the floor. So when we actually curl and round and press that left knee up into chest, we can step the left foot forwards a little easier. So get that left foot there, step it down. If your hands are on the floor, it might be a little more tricky because you've got less space to step forwards. So don't worry if you're having to kind of hoik that left foot forwards. Okay, from here, set up your blocks again. We're going to be doing our lunge to Ardha Hanumanasana flow. So shifting the hips forwards, enjoy that stretch. And then hips go back, left knee straightens a little or a lot. Don't push it. We don't want to have pulled hamstrings right at the start of class or ever. Shifting forwards, shifting back, just enjoy the stretch and breathe as you go. Breathing is a really important part to stretching and to moving. Without it, we just stay tight and tense and not much really happens. Remember to keep that activation now down through the left foot as you come back into your Ardha Hanumanasana, that sucking back of the left leg so that you can get those hamstrings working. And then you'll just pause here, take a few breaths. Use those blocks to support you so you don't have to use too much effort to stay lifted. And then come back, lunge. And you're going to get rid of your blocks now. And from here, come back to your child's pose. So the knees come wide, toes untuck, hips to heels. Arms can relax forwards or down by your sides. And if the hips don't come all the way back, no worries. Grab your block or a pillow, place it between the heels and the hips, giving a little more height. If this is where you get to with your child's pose, that's okay too. We'll take 3 slow breaths here. Once again, releasing, softening the hips, the inner pelvis. Belly relaxes, jaw softens, shoulders relax. Everything is connected to our hips. And we can learn to relax different parts of our body. We can learn to relax our hips. And from here, you're just gently going to reach the arms forwards. And then come up into puppy pose or anahatasana. And so from here, it's kind of like child's pose a little. Knees come under hips and the arms reach forwards and the chest softens down. So the hips stay stacked over the knees. Forehead comes towards floor, maybe doesn't get there. You might like to use a block or a pillow under your forehead for a bit of support. And you can stay active through the arms if that feels better, or relax the forehead down, relax the chest down. It can be useful to bring the hands a little wider than the shoulders, just to give a little more space for those shoulder joints. If all else fails, keep those arms bent or the elbows bent, and just do whatever feels good for the head and the neck, making sure it's nice and relaxed. This is another shape that you can use if child's pose doesn't feel good, or if downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, isn't working for you today. So from here, we are going to just pop up into downward facing dog, our Adho Mukha Svanasana. If that works for you. If it doesn't, that's fine. You can stay in your puppy dog pose or go back to your child's pose. So for downward facing dog, we bring the hands a little wider than shoulder width distance. And then just like a hand width further forwards than you would be in your hands and knees. Tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back. And then we're just coming into this upside down V shape. So if the shoulders are screaming at you and they're like, no, let's not do this today, back to child's pose or puppy dog. Otherwise, press down through all 10 fingers. Lift those hips up and back. Lifting the hips up and out of the shoulder joints, let the head hang. A little bend in the knees. Maybe you'd like to pedal the feet out, stretching through the calves and the backs of the legs. Strong pressing down through the hands, the knuckles, the finger pads. This can be a strong pose, so if you need to tap out rather, go for it. Straight line from wrists through shoulders to hips. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Slow breath in, gaze forwards. Let's all meet to the top of the mat in a forward fold. Keep breathing, tippy-toe yourself there. Meeting in this forward fold, feet roughly hip width distance. Head hangs, maybe the forearms rest to thighs if this is, a little too far forwards for you, especially if you have issues with blood pressure. It can be handy just to stay more so halfway rather than all the way folded forwards. As you're here, you might like to sway, twist gently. You might like to let the arms dangle. You might like to hold the opposite elbow. Keep a nice bend in the knees. We're still easing those hamstrings into a stretch here. We'll take 3 really slow breaths. Take your time. Relaxing the head and the neck. Relaxing the jaw. And then when you're ready, just release the arms and the hands, and we're slowly going to press down through the feet to roll up through the spine, vertebra by vertebra, tucking that tailbone under, letting the head and shoulders relax again before you tuck the chin, roll all the way up. Hands will reach up. Palms come together and just draw a line down through the center with the thumbs, with the fingertips. Let the thumbs rest to chest. Roll those shoulders down and back. Take a pause, maybe the eyes close. And just notice how the hips feeling. You might notice a change. Maybe they feel different to before. You might notice that as you're standing here, they're gripping on and holding on, probably a little more than is necessary. And give them a little wriggle. A moment to re-soften, but standing tall and strong in the spine and the posture. And then bring the hands down by your sides. And the eyes can flutter open if they were closed, and your next breath in, sweep the arms towards the sky. With your next breath out, let's fold forward from the hips, so bend in the knees. Halfway lift into your tabletop spine, hands to shins or forearms to thighs. And then you'll fold again. Bring the hands down, ground down through your right foot. Relax through the neck. And then just start to lift through that left leg, like we were doing on the floor on our hands and knees. Left butt cheek lifts the leg. Probably a nice bend in your right knee, I'd say. I definitely do. Reach back through the left foot, all the way back, into a lunge. Left knee comes down. Nice. From here, we're going to lift the arms. And then bring the palms face down, fingertips pointing in towards the center of your chest. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Tailbone draws down towards the earth. Switch that left butt cheek on. Okay. Keep breathing here. We're going to breathe in, lengthen. As we breathe out, gently twist towards the right from the belly, from the core. Inhale, lengthen. Left butt cheek on, pubic bone reaching up. Exhale to twist a little more. Pause, keep breathing. Notice if your elbows and arms are kind of reaching all the way around. Can you keep those fingertips in towards center? Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, maybe to twist one more time. Keep breathing here. Twisted through the upper spine, and the hips stay pointing forwards. The fingertips are just pointing together at the center of the chest, and the elbows and the shoulders are all sort of in line here. There's not one reaching further than the other. From here, you're going to open the arms wide, still in your twist, and then just reach right hand towards back of left thigh. Left hand reaches up. You might gaze upwards, you might gaze down. Nice. And then we come back to center, that right arm comes up. And then hands to floor. Come into your Ardha Hanumanasana. Hips shift back. Lengthen spine as you breathe in. Exhale, breathe out. Maybe fold a little deeper. Right knee can stay bent, don't worry. Inhale to shift back forwards into your lunge. And then your right knee comes back. Lower the body all the way down. And tuck the toes. Hands back down by your sides. Elbows bent. Press down through the pubic bone. Breathe in. Lift forehead, chest away from the floor. And then exhale to fold back down. Let's press all the way up and back. Child's pose. And then from here, we'll come forward, hands and knees. Lift the left leg high, just like before, but on our hands and knees. Curl it under, left knee into nose, round up through the spine, curl, 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 step left foot forwards. We're back in our lunge. Anjaneyasana, hands up. And then as you breathe out, palms down, fingers point in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist from above the belly. Inhale, lengthen, tailbone down. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. And then pause. Your back foot can be tucked or untucked, but really important that you have your right butt cheek on. And then that pubic bone kind of lifting up as the tailbone tucks it down and under slightly. So hopefully you're feeling some sort of a tug through that front right hip. From here, arms open wide. Left hand to back of right thigh, right hand reaching over, gazing down or up, breathing. nail those hands back to the center, to the floor. And then we're just going to lift back knees, step forwards, forward fold. Rise all the way up, 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 hands sweep to sky. And then we fold back down from the hips, knees gently bend, diving forwards. Halfway lift, your version, high or low. Forward fold. This time we're going to rise all the way up again. And then exhale, hands down by the sides. Okay, left foot grounds down. Right foot and right knee lift to standing staff pose. Slowly step yourself back to a crescent lunge, balancing, wobbling. Ball of the right foot comes down, your back heel stays lifted, both knees are bent. Okay, from here, the arms reach up, just like we were before. Palms press down, fingertips reach in. And then when you're ready, gently twisting to the left. So we did this before, we had our knee on the floor, now we're a little more lifted. Keep breathing, twisting, hips pointing forwards, twisting from upper body, upper spine. You got it. Open wide. Reverse. And then we're going to come back. Left arm comes up. Hands come to hips. Bring your back foot down, or back heel down. And maybe shorten the stance just a little. Straighten slightly through the left leg, so there's still a little bend. And then straighten up those hips. Hips pointing forwards. Start to fold over left leg. Keeping both legs straight-ish. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Left butt really active here, pressing down through the left leg, left foot. Little bend in that left knee. Long through spine, belly drawing in, breathing. Put your hand to your low back and notice if it's kind of like a tabletop here. Might feel like the right hip is kind of flaring out to the side. So bring your right hip down and forwards as your left hip goes back and up a little. Nice. Last breath, I promise. And then hands will come down. Step yourself back into a plank. The knees can be on the floor. There's no gold star for the best or strongest plank. And then just lower yourself down. Untuck toes, hands by your sides, shoulders down and back, elbows squeezing in. Breathe in to lift up your Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Maybe hands hover, really using the back muscles here instead of pressing into your back bend. Pubic bone pressing down, tops of feet pressing down, and then lower, press back. And you can come into a child's pose or a puppy dog pose or a down dog, your choice. And then from here, if you're in child's or puppy dog, come to hands and knees. If you're in down dog, you can stay there. Everyone lifting right leg high. Curl the left knee all the way in and up. Round through the spine as much as you can. Step right foot forwards. And from here, you're going to lift up, crescent lunge. Arms rise. Palms press down, fingertips in. Lengthen spine, back heel up, left knee bent. Crescent lunge. And then we start our water wheel, our twisting towards the right. Breathing as you go, inhaling to lengthen, exhaling to twist, keeping everything in line with the shoulders. And so we're not reaching around. Fingertips stay to center. Shoulders stay down and back. And then open wide, reverse. Feel the wobbles as they come. Fall in, fall out, do what you need to do. And then come back to center, right arm sweeps up. Hands to hips. Preparing for your pyramid pose, your Parasvottanasana. Back heel comes down, back foot can come in just a smidge and out just a smidge more if you need. Right knee straightens a little. Hips come forwards, straight towards the front of the room. Lengthen spine, draw belly in, exhale as you fold. Now it doesn't matter how far down you go. What we're looking for is a bit of a lengthening or a tug through the back of the right leg or the front leg. That kind of tabletop low back here, so you could sit your drink on it and it wouldn't spill over. Whatever drink that might be. G&T, red wine, water maybe. Okay, left hip comes down and forwards, right hip back and up slightly. Pressing down into the sole of that right foot, little bend in that right knee so the leg muscles are working. One more breath in, shoulders down and back, little tuck of the chin. And as you breathe out, bring the hands down. Nice. From here, you're going to lift your left leg, standing splits, hover, left leg lifts, nice, nice, nice. And then standing forward fold. Beautiful. Take a breath. Let the head hang. And another breath. Nice bend in the knees, a little sway for the hips if you need. And then let's slowly roll up the spine. And let the arms rise. Palms can come together. Thumbs to center. Roll those shoulders. We've got one more flow to do together. You got this. I know you do. Hands down by sides. Give everything a little wriggle, a little shake. Notice if those hips are kind of grabbing on and holding on. Okay. From here, right foot stays grounded. Left knee rises. The arms can rise too if you can keep that balance. And then hover, step it back to warrior two. Virabhadrasana 2. Left foot goes back, heel comes down. We open up wide. Right knee bends, back leg stays straight. Arms come out wide or to hips. Gaze comes over the front fingertips or the front shoulder or stays to the side. Now those hips pointing towards that top left corner of the mat. So we're not squaring them off to the side. Your hips and your knees will not like that. Right knee bent, somewhat over the right ankle. Hug that right outer hip in. The left hip can come forwards and out to the side a little. Nice. And then the shoulders line up with the long edge of the mat. The arms can come out or to hips still. Breathe. Belly gently drawing in, pressing down through the feet, gazing towards the front or the side. And then let's reverse, left hand down, right arm over, gazing down, let the neck relax. And then we'll come to side angle pose. Right forearm to right thigh, that right knee stays bent, and we reach left arm, left fingertips in line with our back leg. So we're not sort of reaching forwards towards the front of the room, we're reaching up towards more so the top corner of the room. Head stays in line with the spine, so you're not just sagging the right ear down to right shoulder. And then we'll come back to warrior two. Virabhadrasana A this time, warrior one. Sweep left hand down, forwards and up as you slowly bring the hips to point forwards. Now you'll probably notice this gets a little impossible, so shimmy that right foot over, shimmy the left foot over, widening the feet. And then bring that left foot in a little closer. Hands can come to hips. Hips roughly pointing forwards. You might feel the left hip comes back a little, that's fine. Back leg stays straight and strong. Left butt cheek on. Warrior one, hands reaching. And then little challenge here for those that want to take it. We're going to come back to that standing staff pose. Right foot stays down. Balancing into right leg, lifting, hovering left knee, standing staff pose. Nice. Hover, hover, balance. Gaze somewhere that doesn't move, somewhere to the floor. Find your drishti, your focus point. Breathe. And then left foot comes down. Arms come down by the sides. Take a breath. Wriggle everything out. Get ready for round two. This time the left foot stays grounded. Standing staff pose, right knee lifting, arms lifting, or to hips if you like. Step it back, crescent lunge. I like to sweep my arms back with me as I go. You can do whatever you like. Crescent lunge, back heel stays lifted, both knees bent, arms reaching up. And then warrior two. And so this time the hips are pointing towards that top right corner. Shoulders in line with long edge of mat. Head in line with heart, in line with hips. Shoulders down, jaw relaxed, back leg strong all the way up to that right butt cheek. Outer left hip hugging in. Right hip reaching forwards just a little. Reverse, left arm reaching over. And then side angle pose. Reaching all the way through right fingertips. Breathing all the way down into belly. Not dumping down into that left arm. Lifting up and out of the left shoulder joint. Warrior two. And then warrior one. That right hand sweeps forwards and up as you come up onto the ball of the back foot, just to shimmy the feet wider and maybe shorter. And then settle in. Hips point forwards, left butt cheek active, back leg straight. Feel the tug through the front of the right hip, left knee bent. And breathe. Hands can be a little wider if the shoulders don't like the hands all the way up towards the sky. They can also be on your hips. Nothing wrong with that. You know where we're going. Challenge is coming. Left foot stays down. And when you're ready, right knee lifts. Take a few steps to get there if you need to. Right knee lifts and hovers, hovers, hovers. Find that focus point towards the floor. Long through spine, pressing down all the way down through that left foot. A little activity in the right foot. Draw the right toes towards right knee. One more breath in. And as you breathe out, right foot comes down, arms sweep down. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw, give the hips a wriggle. A long breath out. Nice. Well done. Okay, from here we're going to reach the arms high and then drip down through the fingertips, curling down through wrists, elbows, chin tucks, round down through the spine. Folding forwards, hands come to floor as you bend through the knees a lot and come into just a squat. Just a general everyday squat that you would do in the garden or playing with the kids or the grandkids, or if you dropped a bit of chocolate and want to pick it up. So the heels, you'll probably notice they're coming off the floor. Totally fine. This isn't a classic or traditional malasana squat, like what they call a yogi squat. We're just doing our general everyday squat. And breathe. Your hands can support you as you need. You can grab your blocks or something to kind of lift you up a little more. If being down in the squat this far is too much, you could be a little more lifted, feet a little wider, a bit more of a lifted sort of standing squat. You could be on a chair with the knees wide in a supported squat. Block. There's so many ways that you can do this. So we can all squat, yeah? Okay. From here, if being in this squat is relatively accessible to you, my challenge to you is no hands. Come back to sitting on your bottom. Otherwise, make your way down, however you can get there. Okay, coming into deer pose, we're just going to stretch the outer hips now. One of my favorite stretches actually for the hips. Bring your right shin parallel to the top edge of your mat. Right knee is coming out from the right hip forwards. And then your left knee comes out to the side of your left hip. Left shin parallel with the long edge of your left mat. So we've got these 90-90 degrees in our knees and these box shapes happening with our legs. Sit up nice and tall, hips forwards, and then just fold down over that right leg. So you can fold down over right thigh. If you're feeling a little extreme and you want more of a stretch or sensation, try to fold more over your right shin. If you want to back off a little, just come off to the side of your right thigh. You don't need to be all the way over. And we'll take 3 really slow breaths here. Potentially the hardest part of yoga is the breathing. But hopefully now that we have moved a little more, the breathing feels a little more accessible. And when you're ready, no rush, make your way up. Bring your hands back behind you, and just like we did at the start of class, a bit of a shin box action. Lift the knees. Just come over to the other side. Swapping the knees over. If you need to shimmy, do the shimmy. Left shin in line with top edge or back edge of mat now. Left knee forwards from left hip. Right knee out to the side of right hip. Right shin parallel with long edge of right side of mat. Let's hope you know your lefts from rights. If you don't, you wouldn't be the first student that doesn't, don't worry. And then fold down. And folding over left thigh, left shin, out to the left side, whatever you need to do. 3 slow breaths in your own time. Belly is soft. Jaw fully relaxes. Letting the breath come in and out as it needs to. Psoas muscle, that front hip muscle, actually connects in pretty closely with our diaphragm, our major breathing muscle. So when we have tight hips, we pretty much have a tight, shallow breath, and vice versa. When we have a shallow breath, we're kind of indirectly tightening up those hips. All right, slowly coming up. Shimmy yourself back to the front. And then from here, we're going to come down into Shavasana. So roll yourself down, get comfy, all the way down. Once again, you can come into constructive rest with the feet wide, knees together. Otherwise, let the legs come all the way out long, feet a little wider than hip width distance, arms a little out to the sides, palms facing up. Just take a moment here to wriggle and maybe take a final stretch that your body's really craving. Do whatever you need to settle in. You might notice if your legs are out straight, the low back might feel a little pinchy. If that's the case, then just bend the knees, bring the feet to the floor. Knees relax together, that constructive rest position. So just check in with your body. How does it want to lay? How does it want to rest? Generally, if we get that pinchiness in the low back, it means the front of our hips aren't ready to be straight. They're still a little tight. And if that's you and you've just done this whole class and the hips are still feeling tight, just know that it can take time for the hips to fully soften and relax and to stretch and to ease, because they're so intricately interwoven with our nervous system. So if you're quite a stressed person or an anxious person, or you feel like there's a lot of emotion happening right now, or that's built up, and don't be disheartened if your hips need a little more time, if they need a little more practice, a little more tender loving care from you and from me. And so as you settle in, I invite you to take 5 of the slowest breaths you've taken all damn day. Slowly breathing in through your nose, and maybe a sigh out through the mouth if you need. Still breathing. And breathing at your own pace. And once again, relaxing those hips, relaxing that pelvic floor, the muscles all the way around the genital area, the outer hips, the front of the pelvis, the back of the pelvis. Everything can fully relax now. There is no effort required, nothing left to do. And even the knees and the ankles and the shoulders, remembering they're all connected too. The hips as this middle point, this major connection point between the lower half of the body and the upper half. Relaxing those, the backs of the legs, the tops of the legs, the knees, the calves, the ankles, the toes. Unclenching the fists, shrugging the shoulders down away from the ears a little more. As you let the belly soften, and the hips, and the shoulders, and the chest, and the jaw. Your breath can come in and out just a little more as it needs to, without overthinking how you're breathing or what you're doing or that you're breathing. Just allowing the breath to flow in and out. And slowly breathing in, slowly breathing out. With every conscious breath that we take, with every easeful breath that we take, we are allowing our psoas, our big hip flexor muscle at the front, we're letting that relax just a little more. We're letting it move and stretch and soften. We're letting our pelvic floor soften and relax. We're letting it move and do what it needs to do. So this is your invitation, maybe for after class and into the rest of your day or your evening or your week, to spend just a few moments each day, or a few moments at your tea break, your lunch break, dinner, any micro break that you find in your day. And just take 3 to 5 really soft, slow breaths. The belly soft and expanding with the inhale. Everything relaxing on the exhale. And after your next slow breath in and slow breath out, just starting to wriggle the body, the toes, the fingers, the jaw, the hips. Little micro movements to wake everything bit by bit, muscle by muscle, moment by moment. Let the head rock from side to side. Whenever you're ready, you can roll to any side of your choice. And take a pause there, take a breath. And then if this is the end of your day and a practice that you've fit in before bedtime, you can stay here on your side. Otherwise, if you'd like to wake up just a little more, just gently roll yourself back up to seat, meeting me here. And bringing the hands to your belly if that feels okay. Relax those shoulders back down. A little tuck of the chin, and then just a moment here. And paying gratitude and respect and honoring towards the land that you practice on here. And the traditional custodians that have cared for this land for thousands of years before you. And acknowledging the wisdom of them and the wisdom of you, of your body, within your body. You are your greatest teacher. I'm just here to guide you. And thanking yourself for practicing today. no matter how challenging it was to get to the mat. You made it, you're here. A whole hour of looking after you done. And bring the hands together in front of your chest if you like. A gentle bow of the head towards the hands. A slow breath in, a slow breath out. Rub the hands together. Still breathing and still bowing and creating a little heat here. And then completely up to you where you'd like to place those hands, whether it's bringing them to your face, giving yourself a little massage across the eyebrows, the cheekbones, and the chin, or maybe hands to thighs, massaging the hips, the thighs, the calves. The eyes can flicker open towards the ground, just letting a little more light in. And then gazing around the room when you're ready, and taking in this space. If you're still on the ground and you're shifting towards bedtime, happy sleeping. If you're about to transition into the rest of your day, have a great day. And I look forward to the next time that we meet together here on the mat. Go slowly.